Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the Phoenix Rising podcast. I am Ashley Drummond, your host. Welcome to this week's episode. Oh gosh, I'm doing this a little bit differently. I have never recorded a podcast episode in the evening for you guys. I always usually do it in the morning because that's when I have like the highest energy. But today, I just had so much that I wanted to talk about that I knew if I didn't record this podcast, then my brain was going to be going crazy all night long. So totally different energy, totally different vibe, totally different setting for me. I know you guys like when I let you know like where I'm at because you can like picture it. So it's close to sunset right now. So it's like that perfect like golden hour. I've got this little like meditation rug / mat that I sit on in front of this really bright light open window. I just cleared it out, which we're going to talk about that in a second, clearing out your energy. And yeah, it's really quiet. Bear is asleep next to me. Feels very zen and like my happy little place of solitude. So yeah, we're going to get into this. Today's podcast episode is about how to tell the difference between your ego or your head and your heart or your soul or your intuition. This is a tricky thing that messes up a lot of people and gets us stuck in a lot of areas in life because there's a disconnect between our head and our heart. And this can apply to anything in your life where your gut or your heart tells you to do one thing and your head is telling you to do something totally different. And I actually had somebody ask me that this week is how do you know the difference between when it's your intuition and when it's just your ego that's like having you take action or pursue certain things. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about this because multiple people have asked me this. How do you cleanse and clear your energy? So somebody sent me a message because they listened to one a long time ago when I was talking about your spirit animal. And I said I had burned sage and Palo Santo or something like that. And the message was, hey, you talk about like clearing your energy, but I don't actually know what that means. And this comes up a lot. So I'm going to explain to you like a couple things you can do to clear your energy too on today's episode. So welcome to my cozy little nook and my happy golden hour of solitude. This is normally the time of day that I am like in this space. This is the time that I'm usually like meditating or journaling or just doing like some breath work, like really checking in with myself. So I feel like I'm like inviting you guys into this like special sacred space of mine. I got a really wonderful message that I do want to acknowledge that was forwarded to me this weekend. James, who is a listener of the podcast, had sent in a message asking if I was going to do more podcast episodes because this podcast has really helped him and inspired him and motivated him so much. And he wanted to just let me know and also was asking like if I'm going to do more podcast episodes. So I just want to say, James, thank you so much for sending that message in. Thank you for listening to this podcast. It makes me so happy that it inspires you, it motivates you, and you said it helps you have a totally different outlook on life. That makes me so happy. I mean, that's my only intention with this is really just to provide inspiration, empowerment, motivation, and insight that is going to help you live your best life. So I wanted to acknowledge that. I appreciate that so much. So thank you, James, for sending that message in. And here is your next podcast episode. A couple things I do want to mention before we dive in is number one, if you prefer live video, you can watch these live. I'm laughing actually now because as I'm saying this one's not live. There's no video for this one. My bad. Because I'm sitting in my little sacred space. So I don't have like a camera or anything set up. But normally they are live. You can watch them on YouTube. So if you want to feel more personally connected, the link to the YouTube channel where you can watch them at is in the description to this show. So be sure to do that. And the second thing is If you do wonder about podcast episodes, if you are subscribed to this channel, you will get a notification on your phone letting you know when a new episode comes out. So go ahead and make sure that you have hit that subscribe button. Okay. How to tell the difference between your head and your heart. How do you know when you're making the right decision based off of what your soul and your intuition is telling you? And how do you know when you're making a decision based off of your ego? This is tricky. This is tricky because it requires a very deep level of self-awareness and checking in with yourself and knowing yourself. So before I kind of give those descriptors on how you can tell the difference between those, you're first going to have to understand. She's probably listening to this right now. I had a client that I met with a couple weeks ago who part of her program and part of what I'm coaching her through right now, and she's doing nutrition and fitness stuff and all that, but like we're really focused on the mindset stuff. And part of her program was I wanted her to just get in the routine and the habit every single day of sitting in silence with herself, just breathing. And I know she's listening to this. And when she first started it, it was like, she couldn't do it. She was like, I just don't know, because I go to sit down, and every time I go to sit down by myself, like then all I'm thinking about is all the stuff I need to do. And like, I don't really get it. And like, I just can't do it. And I was like, okay, let's just start with this. Can you just sit and focus on your breathing for 5 minutes? That's all I want you to do for 5 minutes. I just want you to inhale and exhale. And if your mind starts to worry about your to-do list, if you start to get like caught up in like things that you're worried about or stressed about or whatever, I want you to just treat it like a child throwing a temper tantrum who doesn't know any better and will continue to throw a temper tantrum thinking it's in control. Let that exist. And then I just want you to come back to your breath, and I want you to inhale and exhale. That's it. You're not trying to stop your thoughts. You're not trying to change your mindset. You're not trying to do anything but just be in the present moment. So we started with that, and I was like, and if you find that you can do it for 5 minutes for a couple days, then try doing 7, then try doing 10. But like right now, that's all I want you to do is just create this habit that every single day you just check in with yourself. You sit and become totally present with yourself. And if it's hard, if you're listening to this and you're like, same thing happens to me every time I try and meditate, all I have going on in my mind is the million things that I got to do. And like, then my back itches, then the dog's barking, then I'm thinking about this and that. If that is happening and you're struggling with meditation too, you can do this exact same thing. Don't try and meditate then. Meditation isn't like a destination you get to. You don't meditate because you're going to get somewhere. It's not like, okay, let's sit down and let's try and reach enlightenment. Meditation is simply becoming totally in the present moment. So when all this is going on, like a lot of people get stuck because they try and turn their mind off, or they try and shut their thoughts off or change their thoughts. That's not the intention. Your mind is never going to stop. Like that's the brain. The brain is always working and it's always on unless you're asleep. And even when you're asleep, your subconscious is still working. So if you're going into it trying to stop the thoughts and make it quiet, that's never going to happen. What you want to do is allow all that to be there and don't attach to those thoughts. You just let them come and go, like background noise almost. And when it's background noise, because all you're doing is focusing on inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling, what happens is now you're creating space. You're creating space and present moment awareness or conscious awareness to check in with what your intuition is even saying. What does it even sound like? How do you recognize it? Do you feel it as like a gut instinct? Do you hear it as like something like, oh, I had this thought? Do you see it as like, oh, this image flashed through my mind? Everybody has different ways that they connect with their intuition. For me, it's very much like a very strong gut feeling. And people who know me well enough always make fun of me because when I'm talking about something, I'll be like, I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, or like, this is what's going to happen. And they're like, you are such a feeler. And I'm like, I really am. I feel so much, but that's the way I receive information is I just feel things. I can sense things with people. If somebody feels off, they could say nothing and they'll just be like, something feels off with you today. Why does it feel off? or like, oh, you feel very light, or you feel heavy, or you feel retreated or introspective. Like that's just the way that I connect with intuition, is through a feeling. Other people, it's through images. They're like, oh my God, I just got like this like flash of an image of this, almost like premonitions. Other people, they hear things. And I don't mean like like literal hearing things, but it's like this like quiet voice that comes up in like thoughts. So you have to first figure out like how you even connect with your intuition or your soul, your heart. And the way that you do that is you have to create space to hear it, to understand it. And you're doing this already. So that's the thing, is like you're already doing this. It's just figuring out how you're doing it. It's kind of like the idea that everybody is creative in some way, but it's figuring out how you're creative. Like maybe you're not creative that you're like drawing Mona Lisa. Maybe you're not creative that you're creating music, but maybe you're highly creative in problem solving. Like everybody can connect in this way, but you have to create the space and take the time to figure out how you do this. So when you sit in this space and you got the temper tantrum brainchild going on, but all you're focused on is the breathing, what will happen, and this is what I asked this client after a few weeks of doing this, is because she was saying that like she feels like she's getting better at like the breathing, and like it's not as challenging now. And she's like, but now what do I do now that I'm breathing? And I said, well, now we can start to probe questions. Now we can start asking the big things. Why am I scared of this? Why do I do this? What is holding me back? What's the right choice in this situation? Because the space is there for your intuition to come up and speak. And she was like, well, like, I don't totally understand. And that all I wanted to know is, I was like, well, let me ask you this. The fact that you're breathing and you have this brain chatter going on that you have been able to kind of drown out, do you at least realize that there are dual things happening? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, do you realize that there is a part of you that recognizes this is a really annoying chatter brain? And there's a part of you that is able to be totally present and just breathe. And she's like, yeah. I was like, okay, that's great. Because then that means you are able to separate yourself from the ego and connect with your true self. Our ego, our brain, is the part that's always on. It's always talking. It's the part that pursues things we don't really want, and just for like vanity or acknowledgement or just the wrong motives. But like our brain is always going. It is meant to. It is our problem solver. The issue a lot of people run into is they function only from the brain, and they think that they are their thoughts. They think they are their mind. They think the things that they think are who they are. If they think they're stupid, then they think they are stupid. They actually believe they're stupid. If they think they're not good enough, they actually believe that's who they are. So when you sit in meditation and you have this separation and you realize it for the first time, you open yourself up to so much awareness, because now you're realizing like, I'm right here breathing. My mind and my brain is still going, but I'm detached from it. So that's where you start, is getting to that space, is first breathing, separating yourself. And you don't have to try to do this. The only thing that you do is every time your brain starts going, you come back to your present moment, you inhale and you exhale, and you do it non-judgmentally. Because if you start to get mad or frustrated and you're like, God, I can't like focus, your brain is going to just like attach to that and keep going. So if like you wander off and you realize you've wandered off for 20 minutes, you just come, you're like, oh, whoops, I wandered off. Let me come right back. Let me inhale and exhale. We're right here. We're just breathing. The brain is going, but I am right here. I am not my brain. That's what you do. And it's crazy. Like the first few times you experience this, because I use this with anxiety a lot. Like when I've had anxiety or people tell me they have anxiety, anxiety is all thoughts. It's thoughts, and then those thoughts create physical feelings in the body. But when you have a certain level of awareness, because you have spent the time practicing, you recognize like, oh wait, I'm here, but there's a lot of anxious thoughts going on. I'm right here, but all these intrusive thoughts telling me I'm stupid, telling me I'm ugly, telling me I'm overweight, telling me I'm not good enough, telling me I'm worthless. Like I hear them, but I know I'm not them. That's the difference. That's where you start to have separation, is when you're hearing all these different thoughts and patterns, but you've learned to observe them instead of attached to them as part of who you are. I know this is a lot, but the way you start with this and like bringing this back to where we're at now with how do you know if it's your intuition or if it's your head or your ego that's talking to you, this is where you start. You have to take the time to know the difference and to create the space. Start with 5 minutes of just silence and breathing. Then do 7 minutes, then do 10 minutes. Then when you're able to constantly come back to the present moment, then you can inhale, you can exhale, you can bring a situation up internally, whatever it is you're trying to get like clarity on. And you'll notice when that happens, you'll have this very calm, quiet part of you that starts to guide you. And then you have the mind. So once you get to this part, the mind, at least everything I'm telling you is just what I have learned for myself and working with clients. The mind and the soul have two different energies. So when you get an answer that's coming from your mind or your ego, it feels very different than the answer that you get from your soul and your intuition. So if you ask a question, let's say it's job related. Let's say you get this job offer, or there's an opportunity for a job that comes up and you're not really sure if it's right or not for you. This opportunity for a job comes up. It could be a good fit. You're not really sure. Like on paper, it sounds good, but like you don't know, like, should I go for this? Should I not go for this? Your mind, the energy when you're functioning from your mind is very hectic, forced. It's usually stressed. It's usually very, oh my God, I got to apply for this. And then I need to make sure I do this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's tense. When you're functioning from like your ego, or not your ego, your soul and your intuition, it's soft. It's a knowing. It doesn't need to like chase. It doesn't need to force. It just knows and allows. So the difference, let's say this job opportunity, we're using the same analogy, comes up, you're reading through it or you're learning more about it. And you're like, all right, well, if this is the right job for me, let me take a few minutes and sit with this. Like, let me just go breathe for like 5 minutes. Let me sit with this. Let me see how it feels. Can I really see myself doing this? If so, then all right, I'll go ahead and apply. I'll give it the best that I can. And then I'm going to let it go and trust that if that's the job for me, then it's going to work out effortlessly because I know in my heart and soul that I can't miss what's truly mine. And if it's not for me, that's okay. I'm not attached to it because I know, again, what's truly meant for me, I can't miss out on. So if it's not this job, it's another job. So I'm just going to have gratitude. Thank you for the opportunity. I let it go. If that's what's best for me, then so be it. And then you go about your way and you have no attachment to the outcome. And then that's it. That's the energy of like working from your soul. The ego in this exact same situation or scenario is this job comes through, you look at the opportunity, you think it sounds great, you're desperate for work, you need to find something. So you're like, oh my God, I have to stop everything. Like, nope, I can't finish my dinner. I need to do this right now. This job opportunity came through. Oh my God, what if they read this and they think I'm not good enough? Or they find out that like I'm a fraud and I'm not really who I say I am. And maybe they'll hire me in like a week. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and apply. All right, I applied. Now let me obsessively check my emails and my phone every 5 minutes to see if they responded to me yet. Or maybe I should call them. That's what I'll do. I'll call them tomorrow just to make sure they got my resume and they didn't forget me. That right there, that is all your ego in your mind. You are chasing, you are forcing, you are attaching. So it's two different energies. That's the first way you can kind of start with it. I like to use the analogy with a lot of clients, especially if they're like struggling with this and they're like, well, I don't know what my intuition and my ego is. And I've given all these instructions, like sit with yourself for 5 minutes. Like, what's the energy behind it? If you think of every person that shows up in your life, every opportunity that shows up in your life, kind of like you're sitting out let's just say you're sitting out like in a field and you're enjoying yourself, and this butterfly lands on your hand. Think of that butterfly as the opportunity or the person or whatever. You don't squish your hand or close your hand and squish the butterfly and like, oh my God, it's mine. I have to hold on to it. I can't let it fly away. You just keep your palm open and you let it stay as long as it wants to stay. And then when it's ready to go, it can go. That's kind of how life works. That's kind of how life works, because the truth is nothing lasts forever. Nothing is guaranteed. Nobody, I don't care if you're in a committed relationship, if you're married, if you have a contract with your job. All of it is like an illusion. There is no security. Nothing lasts forever. What you are always guaranteed is change. Always. The person that is going to be with you from the very beginning all the way to the very end of your life is you. You have to check in with yourself to be your guiding compass. So when opportunities, people, experiences show up in your life, know that you are just renting them. You do not own any of it. And be grateful for the time that it's there. And when it's time for it to end or it's time for it to leave, let it leave. Every experience we have in life, everything, all of it is just like renting a house. It's not really yours. And when the lease is up on that experience, that job, that person, it was never yours to begin with. You were just getting to have it and enjoy it in life for a little bit of time. And when you look at it that way, you kind of learn to detach from a lot of things and really just allow life to unfold from the path and the direction that your soul wants you to go. Our ego is all based on fear and insecurity. If I don't work really, really hard and force this and chase this job or this person or this thing, and if I don't like obsessively like attach to it, then I might lose it. Well, anything that you can lose was never really yours to begin with. That's the irony in life. The things that are truly ours, we can't lose, and we don't have to do anything to gain them. The things that we're scared of losing are because they aren't actually really ours, because we're having to do too much to keep them. Like, seriously, if you think about that, like the opportunities that are yours, if you look back on your life, the opportunities that have truly like just fell into your lap, worked out so wonderfully, opportunities with work, opportunities with experiences, opportunities with people, when it's right, you didn't have to like latch onto it because it was yours. That opportunity was here for you. That person's here for you. You don't have to convince yourself that you're good enough. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to do any, and I don't mean like you don't do anything. You just like basically take advantage of people or anything like that. I just mean like life flows so much smoother. So think about that. The things that you are deeply scared of losing, it's possible it's because those aren't truly yours. Because the things that are truly yours, you can never really lose. So telling the difference, if you're making a decision, a little bit of a segue. So a week and a half ago, I had the wonderful pleasure of doing an interview, which I'm going to start doing more of these. I already mentioned this to you guys, with a James Beard award-winning chef. Her name is Chef Ann Kearney. I will be releasing this to you guys as soon as it is done from my editor. That's also why I'm a little spotty in these podcast episodes, is because I am still filming and creating content. It's kind of backed up with my editor and us getting these out to you in time. So he's working on that right now. That's a very big project. But so I went to Chef Ann's home, and part of what we're filming is this whole concept of being able to connect with other people in the culinary world. And if you really love food, you love inspiring stories and just genuine people and conversations like this, then you're really going to love that. But I was in her kitchen and she walked me through, or she showed me 2 really awesome recipes that I'm excited to share with you guys. But then we just talked for like an hour and a half. So this woman's incredible. She's had if you don't know what James Beard is, James Beard in the food world is kind of like winning an Oscar or like an Emmy in the TV media world. So she has had scratch that. She has had 9 James Beard nominations, and she has actually been awarded and won James Beard Best Chef Award for the Southeast. On top of that, she's the first woman to ever be on the cover of Wine Spectator magazine. She's had 3 restaurants. She wrote all of Emeril, famous Emeril, Chef Emeril. She wrote all of his recipes when he was on the Food Network and traveled with him and was like his content producer. Like, she's just an incredible person. So the whole reason I'm telling you this story, one, is because I will be releasing that within the next few weeks. It's way better on video. I can tell you that right now, because we will be in her kitchen cooking and going around her home, looking at like all of her accolades and like when she won her award and when she was on the cover of Wine Spectator. So to watch that, you definitely want to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel in the description below, because that's where it's going to be released first. If you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed to that. But coming back to this whole head, ego, heart thing, when I was with her, she was sharing this story about how when she, 22 years into leasing her, I think it was her second restaurant. So she had opened her second restaurant in Dayton, Ohio. She was married, and I asked her, how did you go from Dayton, Ohio to here in Tampa, Florida? And she said, well, the lease was up on my restaurant, and the lease was also up on my marriage of 22 years. And she left everything and basically started a fresh life here in Tampa. And when I interviewed her for this episode, when she said that, one of the things I asked her is, I said, that's such like a huge life change. And I mean, you guys have heard me talk about like my own life and like the decisions with like selling abs, and back in my early 20s when I went through marriage and divorce, and when I've had to make like serious decisions. Like there's these pivotal moments in your life, and it's always hard to tell, what do I do? And so in the interview, I asked her, I said, you left everything, you started over here in Tampa, and I believe she's in her late 50s. I said, how did you know you were making the right decision? And she said, I didn't know I was making the right decision. I just had to trust my gut and what I knew I needed to do. And that's really all you can ever do in life, is like, you're never going to go through life and like make a decision now and a year later, like whoever you believe is in charge of life, God, the universe, Buddha. It's not like a year from now, you're going to make a decision today and they're going to be like, oh, check, that was the correct answer. Good job. Life doesn't work that way. You don't know what's right until you get to the end of life, and who knows what happens at the end, but you can't stay stuck where you are trying to figure out what's right or wrong. You have to listen to your intuition and trust that it is always guiding you. It's always guiding us to our highest and best path. Now, everybody believes something differently. I do believe that we all have different paths in this life that we can take, but I do believe that there is a path for each of us that is our highest expression of ourself, meaning our greatest use of our talents, our skills, our personality, our genetic makeup. I do believe there are people who are our highest and best co-partners in this life. I do believe we have these different paths. Like if you think of it on a scale of like 1 to 100, there's one, like number 1, like, yeah, you can take this path, but it's like a pretty low level. Like that's not going to be the happiest path for you in this life. It's also not going to be the best use of your time here. So I think that we all do have those. And the way we figure those out, like the only guiding system we have is through our intuition. And I think the more you follow that, the happier you'll be. The more you have, I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see it, the more luck that finds you on your path, the more synchronicities, the more like crazy serendipitous connections, because you are in the flow. It is so much easier for life to work with us and for us, and to make like all these happenstance things when we're just trusting and listening to the guidance that it's giving us. When we deny that guidance, it's one thing. All right, so there's two things here. When you hear what your gut and your intuition tells you and you ignore it, you are creating your own suffering. You're creating your own suffering because you are being shown and told the best path, but you're ignoring it for whatever reason. Most people ignore their intuition because of fear and insecurity. You have to have enough trust in that part of yourself that it's not going to take you down a path that isn't good for you. Think about it. When you walk into a room, if something is off, you get that gut feeling. You're like, I don't know, something about this place doesn't feel right. Or I don't know, like, I don't think we should be here. Your gut is always there to help you and protect you. So why we listen to it in situations that are scary, but not in situations that are like helpful for us, makes no sense. So if your gut can tell you like, hey, don't take that road, or hey, don't walk down that dark alley. Hey, that person's not, like, something's off about that person. They're not good for you. If it can tell us all those things and it's always spot on, your intuition is always right, always, then it can also guide you and tell you the best path, the best job, the best partner, the best place to live, the best everything. But you have to take the time to get to know it and hear it. And the way that you figure that out is like, how am I functioning from my ego? How am I functioning from my intuition? Is what I just said. You have to spend time with it. And then you have to trust it. You got to trust it. I think a lot of times, I've talked about this before, what happens as what's the right word for this? As we are a little more, experienced in life, it's not really an age thing. It's just the more experiences we have, there's a lot of things that can happen to make us stop trusting ourselves and stop trusting our intuitions. And I think the biggest thing always that we stop trusting ourselves is pain. Because when we're growing up, when we go to school and we're developing our emotions and our brain and creating these core belief systems, we forget that pain does not mean wrong. Pain does not mean bad. So more than likely, if you were like, I used to like hear my intuition really strongly, or like when I was a kid, like I always like had a really strong sense of knowing and sense of self. And then I don't know what happened. I became an adult. Well, one, what probably happened is now your brain and your life is so filled with so much other noise from other people, from just the noise, social media, being always around people and never with yourself. That's one thing that can do it. But two, the other thing that I find is when we really start to peel back the layers and I talk to people is pain. Because something happened where maybe you trusted your intuition and you felt pain. And your brain said, if this was the right choice, then I shouldn't feel pain. And that's not the way life works. You can make the right choice, you can do the right thing, and feel pain as part of the process. Going back to the story with Chef Ann, guarantee you it was painful to lose a marriage of 22 years and to let go of a restaurant of 22 years. That doesn't mean it's not right. I had pain selling my business because it was something that I like basically raised like a child, but I knew it was right. I knew it was time to move on. I knew it was time to let go. Every time I have gotten out of a relationship, every time I have had to change something, a friendship, anything, there's always pain because you have emotional connections and ties to all of these things, but pain does not mean it was wrong. And I think somewhere along the line, people stop listening to their intuition because they're like, nope, I'm not going to do that again. That resulted in pain. And instead, they start making choices out of their mind, their ego, and their brain, because our brain's job is to protect us. Our brain literally functions from a safety point of avoiding danger, fight or flight. If we're in like a do or die situation, our brain literally will tell our whole body to shut down all systems except for the ones we need to get out of a situation. Like, our brain's job is to protect us. So we start choosing jobs that are safe. We start choosing paths that maybe they don't excite us, and maybe we know it's not really like our soul's path, but it's safe, it's comfortable, there's no risk involved. We choose people, we choose experiences because we're scared. Because obviously you're trying to avoid pain, but like, let me be the one to remind you, pain is just another emotion like joy, like happiness, like laughter. But we have labeled pain, sadness, grief as bad instead of just allowing it to be part of our human experience. You're never going to escape it. You can't escape sadness and grief and pain. You can do the best you can, but every emotion is eventually going to find you, or you're going to live so safely that you're not really living at all. You're coasting and everything. So you only feel like a minimal amount of joy because that's the safest amount of sadness and pain that you can handle. But you're not really feeling anything. That's not even worth it. Like, what's the point? If you're going to walk the line and play that safe, what are you doing with your time here? Are you going to do that for the rest of your life? No, you're going to wake up one day, you're going to be 90 years old on your deathbed, and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, even if I wouldn't have played it safe, this is still where I end up. And that's the thing. We always are going to end up. We're all going to the same place, you guys. We're all going to die. I'm sorry. We're all going to die. And I don't mean that morbidly. I mean that as like the opportunity for you to quit fucking around and to go do what you know you need to do. Whether you take the safe path, whether you take I-4, whether you take I-75, whether you stay at home all day, every single day, or you are out there living it up, whatever path you take, the end of the show is that you're going to die. We all are. Let that be an opportunity, though, for you to throw off the safety belt and to go live your life. Not as a morbid thing, not as a depressing thing, but even, I think about this all the time with Bear. You guys know that Bear he's my child. He's my 13-pound Shih Tzu Lhasa Apso, if you're new to this show, and I love him, I think, more than most people love their children. Like, I just love that little guy so much, mostly because he has been with me for 6.5 years, and man, have we been through some life the last 6.5 years. He has traveled with me everywhere. He has been with me, like, crying on the floor some nights. Like, you know, we've just got each other's back. With that, I am very aware that I am probably going to outlive him. That I know he is 6.5, and he has probably lived close to like half of his life already. I know this. Because of that, though, every single day that I get with him, I love the hell out of that little guy. That, like, people think I spoil him, and I don't really care. He is spoiled. He's a sensitive soul, and I love him to pieces because he literally only exists for me. It's not like he's got friends. It's not like he's got some friends in the neighborhood, but it's not like he's got ambitions here. Like, oh my God, one day I hope I can win the dog show and be the best prancer out there. I hope I can do the high jump. Like, it's not like he has ambitions. He exists for me. He stays home all day. When I come home, he shows me love and excitement that I'm home. Like, that is his purpose. So I am going to be grateful for him every single day that I have him, because I know I'm just borrowing him. He's not mine. I don't get to decide how long he's here and he's not here. Same thing with me. Same thing with you. You are just borrowing this body and borrowing this life. You don't know how much time you have. So why play it so safe? Why not just try? Just try. What is your dream? What's your dream? Be honest with yourself. What is your big dream that I'm like, hey, listen, the genie is real. I know you saw Aladdin. He really does grant you 3 wishes. What is your dream? Here's your opportunity. There are no limits. What is it? Maybe it's something crazy. I don't care. But like, what if you just tried and you failed? Because the second you can acknowledge like the thing that you're so scared of, failing, trying out for your dream career and failing, going after your dream partner and getting heartbroken, like just acknowledge that fear. The second you acknowledge it, even if that happens, even if you fail and fall flat on your face and fall into like a deep, dark hole, wouldn't it at least be worth the adventure and the experience of trying? Otherwise, like, you're going to live the rest of your life not knowing, wondering, doing the same thing every day, having the same conversations with everybody else who hates their job and hates their life, and they think their partner's annoying, and they wish they would have been with somebody else, or they wish they would have tried something else, always like living with their head in the sky, but never actually doing anything about it. Like, is that really what you want to do? No, you don't. Let me answer that for you. What you want to do is your soul wants you to listen, quit being scared, and just give yourself the gift of trying. Dreams don't, like, think about the things that's a dream to you. I guarantee you the dream that I have for myself is not the dream that you have or that probably 90% of the population has. Same thing for you. The dream, like, if I ask you what your dream is, it's probably not the same as anybody else. If we sat in a room of 100 people, everybody probably had a different dream. That's got to mean something. If you're the only one that has that as the dream, and I'm not saying there's other people that will have similar things, but like, have you ever thought about that? Like, if you're the only one who has it as a dream, doesn't that kind of make you wonder, like, maybe that's a specific path for you? And if it is a specific path for you, you're probably going to be already equipped with the skills, talents, ideas, thoughts, everything that you need to make it happen. And if you're not, then the universe is going to bring everything that you need to support that. Like, just take the time to think about that. You got to trust your intuition, though. And this goes back to the beginning. How do you even know the difference between your intuition and your ego? Get off your phone, get off the TV, quit spending all day, every day around other people, and spend 15 minutes with yourself, just breathing, creating a space. When you can consistently create that space, then you're going to know. You're going to know. You're going to recognize the energy. You're going to know when it's your mind because of how stressful and like scared and forceful it feels. And when it's your soul, because it's just this like quiet, comfortable, it feels good. So do that. I'm going to wrap this up with what I said in the beginning. People have asked how to clear your energy. There's a lot of ways you can do it. So all this is really about is, I mean, we absorb stuff whether we like it or not. We absorb other people's energies. That's just how we are. You have to, especially if you're somebody who is hyper aware and very sensitive, you have to clear your energy. Otherwise, it's going to get kind of, intuition and ego is going to get kind of foggy. You're going to be like, I can't tell if this is coming from me or if this is because like I heard this or someone said this. It's going to get confusing and hard for you to understand. So the way that you clear your energy to make sure you are connecting to your energy, your intuition, your thoughts, your guidance, and not just absorbing everybody else's, it's very simple. If you go near water, so take a walk by water. I live in Tampa. There's a lot of beautiful places to walk along water. Water, and this is why people like gravitate to the beach. Water has actually been proven to heal the body, to calm the central nervous system, to raise your vibrational energy. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. It's called ions. So we have negative ions Water has a lot of negative ions, and what that means is it kind of like decharges. So when we're like all charged up because we've got all this like energy that we've absorbed, water has a negative ions that balances that out. So you can take walks along water in nature. Now, don't go do this while blaring music or listening to music. Like, do it without headphones or a phone. Like, actually connect with it. That's one way you can do it. Walking through trees in a forest or like a walking trail too. I think it's pine trees have the highest level of negative ions. So they do the same thing. They balance you out. They decharge all that hyper energy. You can also meditation, sitting and connecting with yourself, your breathing, not only from like an anatomy and physiology standpoint with like inhale and exhale, oxygen, carbon dioxide, of cleansing your breath and your body, but anytime we're stressed and we're holding on to something, we're shortening our breath. When we take big inhales and long exhales, we're literally letting go of energy. That's why yoga is so popular, because it's about releasing energy from the body. So meditation can also clear your energy. Anytime you can spend out in nature is always going to clear it and balance it, because nature is neutral. Trying to think of what else. Sage. I burn sage all the time. I like sometimes cleaning can clear things out. That's why like when you've done like a deep cleaning in your house, you'll say, or people say, they're like, oh my God, it just feels better in here. Like you've moved energy, you're clearing it out. Those are the main ways. I mean, other things you can do like Epsom salt baths with Himalayan sea salt. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can clear your energy. It's just super important, especially if you're feeling really drained or stressed. It's usually because you are not refilling yourself and you're just absorbing a lot of other people's stuff. So those are the best ways you can clear your energy too. All right. I feel like that's enough. We can wrap this up. So to recap, not what we talked about, but number one, if you are somebody who loves food and inspiring stories and you want to see this episode that I did with the James Beard chef and Kearney, make sure you're subscribed both to here and the YouTube channel, because it is going to come out on YouTube first with video. Second thing, thank you again for those of you who send in the messages and you tell me how much this helps you, because it really does motivate me. We're motivating each other. I motivate you, then you send me this message and it motivates me to put out more episodes for you. So I really appreciate that. If there's something specific you have a question about, anything, and you want me to kind of like talk about it and dive into it, send me a message. I respond to most. If you send it to me on Instagram, I respond to all those directly. If you send it through the website, it will get forwarded to me, and then I will find a way to respond to it. The website is also at the description or in the description of this show. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me in this week's podcast episode of Phoenix Rising. I hope that you go out there and start breathing and practicing connecting with your intuition. And then when it gives you a prompt or tells you what to do, I hope you have the courage to listen. All right, guys, I will see you in the next episode.